National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. Join in celebrating NASCAR's 50th anniversary. A study in contrast, the serenity of wine country, the excitement of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Serenity, excitement. Which shall I choose? Give me excitement.
Sears Point is the final road course race of the season. It's the first with hot pit stops. If you've been with us since Memphis, you know that if you screw it up down here, there's not enough wine in this country to drown your sorrows.
The Hornaday Sprague battle for the title has been intense and occasionally controversial. Sprague has had some trouble lately. Most recently, Martinsville penalized to the back, while Hornaday bumped his way to third and took over the point lead.
26 points separate the two championship contenders. They won't have far to look to find each other. Ron Hornaday starts 6th. Jack Sprague starts 7th. And as we know from past history, both are willing to play physical with each other and with anybody else who gets in the way.
Speed World comes to you live from Sonoma Valley in California, where the action will be the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Kragen Exide 151, an interesting 2-mile, 10-turn course, providing the challenge as we come here off the Bullring short track action 2 weeks ago in Virginia. Ron Hornaday and Jimmy Hensley beating on each other for the short track win. Mike Bliss brought out the last caution, spun trying to miss him. More Jimmy and Ron collisions let Jay Sauter in the black 3 go by both of them on the last restart. This just days before contract negotiations. Sure enough, he kept his job. As a result, a new point leader, Hornaday, the tightest championship fight in history this late in the season. Ruttman and the rest are racing for the leftovers as we come here to Sears Point. I'm Dave Despain. Down trackside, we've got Marty Reed, and alongside Parsons, indeed, Phil Parsons. Benny's off in Talladega. Phil, nice to have you here for what should be an interesting day and an interesting racetrack.
Well, it really should. This is the most dangerous race these truck guys have for the rest of the year. So many other things can happen here. Here's a track diagram. This is the old racetrack. 11 turns over 2.5 miles. You see up on the top right of your screen, turn 4. Now you connect turn 4 with turn 7. That's now turn 4, turn 4A. It took away the carousel, a couple good passing areas. That's what the truck guys are complaining about. We can't pass on this racetrack as well as we used to. But they've got to keep the trucks on the racetrack, Dave. They've got to keep the transmissions in them. They've got to keep the rear ends in them. This is a very dangerous racetrack for the point guys.
As the trucks warm up here, the road racers say they've taken some of the fun out of the racetrack, and the road racers have swept the front row. Boris said was fastest in every practice section and then lost the pole to Tom Hubert. He's kicking himself. Kevin Harvick just won the Winston West race a few minutes ago. Hornaday and Sprague together there in 6th and 7th. Good qualifying for Morgan and Cook and Biffle. Ruttman, who's won 3 of the last 5 road races, starts 13th. Doug George from crew chief to driver here today. And as you take a look back through the rest of this field, there are a lot of strategic decisions that are going to play out during the course of 77 laps here. Pit strategy seems like a big deal.
Well, it certainly does. Down in the garage here before the race, half the guys said they're going to try to make it on 2 pit stops, change tires twice. The other half said, hey, I think we can go make it on 1 pit stop. We have enough fuel. We can go halfway, stop 1 time for tires. But we don't know. The guys are split, and then I'm not sure they're really telling me all they know right now.
They may not want the word out. Let the others know what their strategy is going to be. 77 laps is the distance. It's 150 miles. And the pit window of 25 to 30 for tires, 37 to 40 for fuel. They can make it on gas. Tire wear is going to dictate, I think, the way this race plays out today. We've got onboard cameras, a bunch to cover the action for you. Let's run you through the look.
Here's the first Cummins Dodge in truck camp with Jimmy Hensley starting 26th. Next one we've got is with Dennis Setzer in the Mopar Dodge in truck. He's starting in, Dennis is starting in the 24th position. Our next in truck is with the Ice House truck, beer truck with Tony Roper driving, starting 19th. The next one, Stacy Compton in the Royal Crown Cola in truck camera, starting 16th. Stacy won the truck race at Topeka back earlier this year. There's Mike Bliss in the ASC Ford truck, starting 11th. Mike won earlier this year in Milwaukee.
Okay, you calling the start?
Here's the Benzoil truck with Tony Raines driving, starting 3rd, right behind the front 2 road racers.
And everybody wondered about those front two road races. This will be a wild start.
And in the front row, we have cameras in both trucks. We've got Boris Said starting on the outside pole in second in the Federated Auto Parts in-truck camera. And we've got the Carlin Burners in-truck camera with Tom Hubert on the pole.
Hubert and Said, both very aggressive racers. And a lot of the joke, I think, of the weekend has been, as soon as those two guys take each other out, the rest of us can go race for the win. I'm not going to bet that that'll happen. Marty, quickly.
Keep an eye on the lap times, guys. Both teams don't want this pace to be any quicker than the high 13s. 113 and high change. If it goes below 113.5, these guys are cooking the tires too much. Expect them to slow them down.
Who's going to set the pace? That's the big question, as Tom Hubert won that pole and still says he's not real happy with the truck. They fought the truck all weekend. The lap times were there, but he said he didn't have the feel that he wanted in that truck. Reed is in the air. We're ready for the Sears floor.
Tom Hubert's truck got a little bit tail happy there.
Kicking up the dust as they head up the hill, but everybody stays on course as Hubert grabs the advantage away from Boris Said, and the rest of them come streaming through. This part of the track is unchanged. It's familiar from trucks in Winston Cup as they come up the hill.
Yeah, this is the first time that most of these truck guys have run this racetrack in this configuration. A couple guys ran the Southwest Tour race when the Winston Cup cars were here back in June, and Ron Hornaday actually ran the Winston Cup race. This is a new part of the racetrack right here.
And here they head back onto the familiar terrain and head down the hill through the S's. Very fast, a little scary, hard to pass. Reigns in yellow is third, Harvick in fourth.
Harvick had a great race earlier today in the Winston West race.
Did he ever? Third to first in the last two corners of the racetrack. Very impressive. There goes Devin. Here's Hornaday, your point leader.
Well, they've got a truck in between them now for a change. At least they can see each other.
Yeah, Corelli has wedged himself between Hornaday and Sprague. Corelli's actually run pretty well here on the road course.
Corelli ran a lot of Southwest Tour races out here. He's been out here quite a bit.
Now heading back up the hill. Working lap 2 at Sears Point. 77 laps the distance. You don't want to abuse that truck early because it's a pretty long run. The temptation and the opportunity to do that are certainly here.
You've got to keep the tires on these trucks. This racetrack, you've got so many turns. Traditional locals back east and even out west here, you've basically got two ends of the racetrack. You've got turns 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4. We actually look at them as one corner each. This racetrack, we've got about 9 or 10 turns.
Up over the curb there, as you see, and one of the techniques is one of the decisions you make is run aggressive, run hard. You go ahead and use the curbs. If you're wanting to save the truck, you stay off of them a little bit more. You're riding with the pole sitter, Hubert. And now jumping on board with Said, who is in second spot. That gap is a little deceiving. The camera tends to make the interval look more than it is, a little like your rear view mirror. There you can see it shrunk up dramatically as they come down into the last two corners, head back for start finish. Early on in the Kragen Exide 151. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Back at Sears Point, 10 laps are complete, coming down to complete lap 11. And yes, if you're paying attention, we do have a new leader. Boris Said a lap ago worked his way past the leader, Tom Hubert, right here.
Yeah, this is really the best passing area on the racetrack, and Boris has been beating Tom Hubert into that corner a little bit each lap, and that was enough that time. He got him beside him, beat him down to the corner, and was able to take the lead.
Yesterday, that was the corner where Hubert beat Said in this sense. Boris Said overshot turn 11. Oh, he's got the right side way off the ground. He's pushing it pretty hard. Boris overshot that corner by just a little bit in qualifying, and it cost him the pole and allowed Hubert the opportunity very late in the session to snatch the pole away. But Boris had been the quickest throughout. We were talking about that race pace before we went to break. 1:14.40 is what the 66, the Carlin truck with which you're riding right now, that's what he was running. And did you get the sense that maybe Boris thought that it was time to pick up that pace just a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think Boris said, hey, you know, he stayed within about a second of him just about every lap, and he said, hey, I think I'd like to go a little bit faster right now. I'd like to take the lead. I mean, because he's out there, he's got to get some exposure for his sponsor, and he's a road racer. He wants to lead this race.
Marty, you got any more on that?
Talking with a couple of teams right before the start, especially Kevin Harvick, who won the Winston West race. Another factor may be the track was very slick. They had a lot of oil put down by the Winston West drivers, plus they were running bias ply tires. The track now is starting to come back in. You may be right. Boris said, hey, I'm a little more comfortable. Let's go to the front.
Pick up on some of the battles further back in the field. There's Mike Wallace. He's being pursued by the 55 of Roper. Wallace is 18th. Roper is 19th. And a minute ago there, you were looking at Jimmy Hensley in the 21st spot. That's Ron Barfield in the yellow truck sitting right on 20th position. So these are some of the position fights going on a little further back in the field. That's a pretty good race right there.
Sure is. They've got about 6 trucks right in that little dogfight.
And this is the temptation here, of course, is to not be very patient. If you're 20th and you know the guys out front are wailing away from you, you want to try to start picking up the pace, but got to resist temptation and deal with what you've got on any given day. Wallace leading this bunch. A lot of talk about what he'll do next year. We hear that Mike Wallace and Pure One and Kenny Schrader are all working hard to get back together again next year. Everybody wants to make the deal, but the deal is not done yet. Here are your leaders, and Hubert is certainly not going to let Boris get away here, it doesn't appear.
He certainly isn't. You know, one thing I've noticed is that Tony Raines has not really lost track of these guys. He's only about 2.5 seconds behind.
And maintaining the pace of the leaders. Raines is third. Hornaday and Harvick round out your top 5. We're 12 of 77 laps down here at Sears Point Raceway. We'll be right back. Back at Sears Point, pick up the battle from 7th on back. That is Rick Pirelli. Far right-hand side of your screen, sitting in 7th spot and getting some pressure there from the 50 of Greg Biffle, the 2 of Mike Bliss. Behind them, Joe Ruttman. You're looking out the back of the Team ASE entry to see Ruttman and ahead to see Biffle. So the 2 teammates are bracketing Mike Bliss at the moment, and behind them is Jay Sauter, who's lost a couple of positions. And I don't know whether we can attribute that to some off-course excursion or if he lost those positions on the racetrack, but Bliss is going forward. Ruttman is going forward. Joe now 10th from 13th starting spot.
You know, we saw Mike Bliss pass Joe Ruttman earlier. Then Ruttman actually got back by Mike Bliss, and then a lap ago while we're on commercial break, Mike Bliss was able to get back by Ruttman.
So this is a pretty good little fight right here. Bliss now having a look at the Cintas Rookie of the Year point leader Greg Biffle and trying to reel him in as they go up the hill.
One thing about this racetrack, Dave, it's so narrow, so hard to pass. You really can get killed by how you catch a lap truck. We saw a lap truck just now did not pose that much of a problem for the leaders, but if you catch a lap truck going in the S's, you may have to follow him all the way through the S's. You could lose as much as a second and a half by just having to follow that truck.
Even if he's just a little off the pace, you can't get around him. That means you're in a world of hurt in terms of your lap time for that lap, and obviously, conversely, the guy in front of you is going to get away. So we continue to watch the action unfold here on the revamped Sears Point Raceway. It's said Hubert, Raines, Hornaday, and Sprague. Your top 5. Nothing exciting or untoward happening thus far between Hornaday and Sprague. They've been minding their P's and Q's, and the action right now is back here at the tail end of the top 10 as Ruttman tries to reel in Bliss for the 2nd time and see if he can work his way around him. Here are your leaders, and they've been pretty more. Oh, look at this. A little bit of a challenge by Hubert as he comes up the hill. He's going to try to make a pass out of this, I believe. They are side by side. This is a right-hander. Remember the speculation that these two might get overly aggressive with each other.
Good shot. Good try.
That's the 66.
Yeah, I think we were eavesdropping on the 66 team's radio. I think that was Emery Donaldson, maybe his crew chief, saying, hey, that was a nice move, nice shot at him.
Earlier we had heard him report to his driver Hubert that shortly after the said pass in turn 11 that 11 was the only place that Boris was beating him. Well, the problem with that is that that's the best passing opportunity on the racetrack. So obviously they want him to be a little aggressive and to keep said honest here in the early going.
And I think that he's got to see where Boris is weak. He's got to, because at some point in time he's running 2nd. He's got to pass him if he's going to win this race. So he's got to keep trying Boris a little bit, see where he's weak, And here's Tony Raines in third in the Pennzoil truck. You see, he's not lost touch with these leaders. They're right there in front of him.
Yeah, you made the point that he's got him in sight. He's keeping them there. That gap is now at, well, last lap it was at 3 seconds. Doesn't look like that much on the racetrack as he's able to close it up a little bit down through the slow section of the track.
You know, we talked earlier about Tom Hubert's background. He's kind of known as a road racer, but he's really not got that all that much experience on road courses. The first time I had ever heard of Tom Hubert, he came out here and qualified a Winston Cup car that for a guy that could not get it in the field. So I said, hey, he's a road course master, but that's really not the case. He has run here more than a couple times, but his background is basically oval track racing.
Well, the stats bear out what you're saying. I asked him yesterday, how many road races have you really run? And he said, I think it's 15. And I said, how many have you run on this racetrack? And he said, 11. So 11 of his 15 road races that have made him such a road racing star are right here, and that's going to help him. Here is your Hornaday Sprague battle. This has tightened up a little bit. They're now 4th and 5th, and Sprague has run Hornaday down. And to resolve the issue there on Raines picked up a full second on the leaders on the last lap. I think it was probably that lap truck thing that you were talking about. He'd gotten 3.5 seconds behind, but I think he just got caught in traffic and was able to gobble that back.
Just 1 second. That's all. All it takes is one lap truck, and you lose a second that quick.
Pretty remarkable and a key issue in how you pace yourself for the race. So the lead battle continues, and how did this occur? We've got the said machine back in second and Hubert back out in front, so the road race boys continue to race it up pretty good here at Sears Point Raceways. They head up the hill. Hubert giving that Carlin Burners 66 a very good ride here.
We've run 18 laps, and this is the time when, you know, he said he wasn't comfortable with the truck. This is the time when it really ought to show up. Apparently they've made changes, and he looks to be real comfortable with that thing right now.
He said it was the feel of the truck that he didn't like. He couldn't get the feel that he was looking for. And remember, this is a new marriage between these two, so he's working with guys he's not worked with before. There's a problem for the 41. Terry Fisher turns it around the wrong way. The Sandy, Oregon runner who actually technically has a win on this racetrack in a Winston Cup and Winston West combined event a few years back. He was the top finishing West Coast driver far downfield, but it still counts as a victory. So as we move back up front, looks like the 66th of Hubert opening up a bit of a gap down through the S's. Here's where Boris is good on the brakes. That's that road racing experience, and there's no questioning Boris' road racing credentials. He's done it all over the world, and he knows how to get one around the twisty stuff. We're going to take a commercial break here as the battle continues. There's your top 5. We're now 18 laps in, and pit stop should be coming before long. We'll be right back. We're back. We're live. Ron Hornaday has a problem. The number 16 truck, the series point leader, has slowed. Corelli is pushing him down the hill, and he was involved in a big position scrap with his championship challenger, but now there are troubles for Hornaday. Marty, what's up?
A broken axle, guys. Exactly what Phil was talking about in the beginning of this race. You had to make sure that your truck could go the distance. And Hornaday, if you remember last year, had similar difficulties at this race, and it cost him dearly in the championship.
Meanwhile, I think it may have been, here comes Hornaday to pit road. I think that might have been Butch Miller off there in the dust. We've had a, yeah, sure enough, we've had a pit stop for Mike Bliss just before all this excitement began. The sequence was Bliss stopped, made the pit stop, dropped out of the top 10. Hornaday broke the axle going up the hill and is headed for pit road. Butch Miller has now spun and damaged the number 18 Dana Corporation Dodge, and we have a yellow flag as a result, I guess, of the combined circumstances here. I'm not sure which of the three, well, obviously the pit stop wasn't the issue. I guess it's
probably debris.
Probably debris. So there must be some debris on the racetrack.
He just went by him.
This is Bliss's crew.
Now take care of that set of tires.
You hear Barry Dotson talking about to Mike Bliss about taking care of that set of tires. Let's go down to Marty Reed and talk about Mike Bliss's pit stop.
Yeah, the problem, guys, with Bliss was that when he came in, he had flat spotted the front tires on that heavy braking zone in turn 11. And again, same thing you talked about, Phil. You've got to save tires. They weren't able to do it. Now they're going to work back here in the pits. We're in the 16 area back in the garage. We also understand that the 18's having problems. Guys, we got a lot of action going on in this race. This axle is going to take a long time for Hornaday's team to fix.
Boy, that is huge. It's been such a seesaw battle. The lead has changed hands. What was it, 8 times, I guess, during the course of the year between Sprague and Hornaday as they work on Miller's repairs here. Hornaday back in the garage area, and that could be change number 9. We'll be right back. We will tell you what's happening on pit road. Wholesale stops among the leaders at lap 22, including Boris said. He stopped. Hubert didn't.
Hubert was almost the only truck left on the racetrack. All the other guys behind him, starting with Boris said, who was running second, came in the pits.
Under the caution, they can take 2 tires, and they can take 4 under green. Bliss got 4 under green, 3 or 4 laps ago. And now the 66 has elected to stay out front, and so Hubert will be the leader. Boris said elected to go to pit road and take 2. You surprised at this strategy to see this many guys stop early? We heard a lot of talk about the one-stop race.
I'm really more surprised the time Hubert stayed on the racetrack. I'm more surprised with that than with the guys coming in to get the pits. You know, they all ran down there. They saw the fact that Mike Bliss had flat spotted his tires trying to get in turn 11. They saw Butch Miller coming in with a flat tire. So I said, I think they maybe changed their strategy and said, hey, we better take these tires off and take a look at them.
Rob Morgan is the other driver who did not pit, and he will move up into second spot. Bliss, with fresh tires, will move up to third. Hubert got out of sync on a previous, let's see, was that at Topeka? I believe it was. You look at the road course events here. Watkins Glen, Hornaday led the most laps, jumped the restart, finished 4th. The race winner was Ruttman, who led only the last lap. Topeka, Hubert led the most laps, but finished 18th after he had a mechanical problem. Stacy Compton won that one and led only the last 7 laps after there was a big wreck late in the race. Hornaday has trouble. Let's go to the garage area.
Yeah, he's out of the truck watching the crew work on it, and this is the one thing you did not want to see happen.
We went for every precaution, too. Meg did everything. Just broke an axle. Neverson was running awesome. I was just trying to save the tires. We knew the tires couldn't make it. We had to go the halfway, Dale, and just do 1 stop. Everybody else is going to do 2 or 3. And just trying to save the tires. I knew they were pulling away from me, but we had something for them. It's just a matter of broken axle. You can't do nothing about it. Is
there something about the change in the track? Because we talked to the Goodyear guys. They said you guys were getting a lot of wheel spin coming off the corners because of the new layout. Oh, I think it's just because of the track's wearing out a little bit. You know, the surface is wearing down a little bit, and they didn't seal it. The new part's great down there in 7 and everything, but no, it's just a matter of track's worn out a little bit. Well, guys, he's going to try and get back into this race as fast as the crew can get it fixed.
He won at Orlando, took the series lead, lost it the next week at Homestead, got it back at Phoenix, and then lost it again. Lost it for most of the season, but has now lost it very late. We'll be right back. We're back live, Sears Point Raceway, where the dramatic development is the broken axle for Ron Hornaday. Won't say he's dropped out. I'm sure they'll get that fixed and get him back out to complete whatever laps he can, but you're looking back at the potential new series leader, Jack Sprague. Points aren't paid till the race is over, but if it ended now, he would lead it by 50. And I guess the question is strategy. If you're Jack Sprague, how do you play it now, Phil? Here's how it would be if it ended now with Hornaday in the garage area. What should Sprague do?
Well, I don't think you'll see Jack back off. I think you'll see him still run pretty hard, but he may just take a little bit extra time on his passes, a little extra time getting in the corners. Yeah, look, here's the points as of now. Greg Biffle will jump 4 positions all the way into 8th position, so he stands to gain a whole bunch. But Jack Sprague, I think he's just going to take maybe a little bit easier. He still wants to have a good finish because he wants to come out of here. If he can come out with 50 points, that's what he wants to come out with, not 30.
Probably going to back off about as much as Jeff Gordon did today at Talladega after Mark Martin had trouble. He was within, a couple of car lengths of Jarrett at the end. Racers are racers. They're smart. He's not going to tear up that truck, but I don't think that he will. I don't think he will loaf either. That is not Sprague's style. And he's got a bit to prove too after yesterday's trouble. He got that thing off the road. He does not like crashing, so he feels like he may have something to prove. You're on board with the 4th place driver, Boris said here. The Federated Auto Parts truck, which started from the outside pole, did make a pit stop. Actually, he was the first of the leaders to pit. He was in 2nd place at the time he came on pit road. Hubert did not stop. Morgan is your 2nd place truck. That's the 46. Tolsma's going to be up in the middle of this. He is a lap down, and we're going back to green at Sears Point Raceway. Hubert takes him up the hill.
We'll see how now Tom Hubert can hold off these other trucks. We know they have at least 2 fresh tires. In Mike Bliss's case, he's got 4 fresh tires. We'll see if he can hold off these trucks with the fresher tires.
He may be the man to watch here as Bliss with 4 tires works his way through the traffic. We understand that Butch Miller has pulled off the race course here after the restart.
He's over there right just at the entrance to turn 2. So if he doesn't get going, there's a localized caution right now. If he doesn't get that truck off the racetrack, they're going to have another full course.
Guy off the pace there is Tolsma. That's the 11. That is Bodine's truck, and he is a lap down. But Randy's just out there kind of accumulating laps. I was talking to him yesterday in the garage area, and he said, I was talking about just maybe having to pull in after a lap or 2 because this is a short track truck and it's really not set up to race here. But Hensley told me how much money he made for 8th in the points last year. He said he got 60 grand. I'm trying to convince these guys we ought to try to run the whole race, and that looks like that's what they're doing. We've got a caution flag flying as Bliss comes around Morgan, and it is going to be a full course caution, so they will race back to yellow. Bliss taking over the second spot from Rob Morgan as they came back to the caution flag. And again, it is for Miller, who has stopped in the inside of the corner you're about to see here. You should get a glimpse of it as it goes up the hill. The other is just under the bridge. So, tough day for the 18 to Dana Dodge.
Now, are these guys going to come back in the pits to get the other side of the tires? They were only able to change 2 on the previous caution. Tony Raines now has already come in. Now, was pit road open when he came in?
They were being told that he will be penalized. Pits were closed at the time he came in. That gets a little complicated here because you got the long access to pit road, and the rule is if you're on the access road when the caution comes out, then you're making a green flag pit stop. Did I understand that accurately? If you're 10 seconds, okay, now we're being told he did not get a penalty, and I suspect that's what happened. If you break the plane of the entrance before the caution flies, your pit stop is considered a green flag stop because you initiated it before the caution fell. And that means he can take 4 tires.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another thing. That's because of a heads-up move. Probably his spotter, who was way up in the hill up above turn 2, saw Butch Miller's truck on the racetrack, knew there was going to be a caution flag, and said, hey, get to pit road before the caution waves. And that's what they did. Now they have 4 fresh tires.
Teamwork, smart play. Marty, more on that?
Yeah, guys, Tony Raines came back in because he was complaining a lot of a body roll in the corners. They also wanted to tape off the brakes, get a little more heat there. They adjusted the air pressure, and you're right, they now have fresh tires all the way around.
Bad news is he'll be on the tail end of the lead lap, and right now that is 25th position. We have 25 trucks on the lead lap with Hubert the leader. We'll take a break and be back with more. The Kragen Exide 151 is round 24 of 27 to decide the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. And in the interest of time, we're going to move forward now in our coverage of the race. Speed World coming to you from the wine country, the Sonoma Valley, where we're about to put the green back in the air on lap 29 of the 77 and make up the Kragen Exide 151. Your leader is Tom Hubert, the only truck that has not been on pit road yet today. Here's the rest of the field. The GMAC machine of Jack Sprague, nominally your point leader right now because of troubles for the number 16, Ron Hornaday breaking an axle. If you've just joined us, Mike Bliss is the second place truck with 4 reasonably fresh tires. Behind him, Sauter, Compton, Pirelli, George, Barfield, and Crawford all have 2 new tires, but did not make the second pit stop to get the other 2. We're back underway. Green flag is flown, and Bliss makes a challenge up the hill, but couldn't quite get position.
I think you're going to see Mike Bliss. He wants to get that lead right now because he knows the more he runs, the more equal his tires are going to be with Tom Hubert. So he wants, while he's got that fresh tire advantage, he wants to try to get that lead.
Now Hubert is holding his own very nicely as they come into the new section of the racetrack, make the interval a couple of truck lengths with Sauter sitting there in third. Just 2 tires on these trucks. They've only stopped once. From Raines on back, everybody has 4.
We're looking at Stacy Compton's truck down there, Jay Sauter.
Down at the bottom of the hill will be Bliss's best opportunity to make a move here. Through the S's, it's awfully tight and awfully narrow, and there's not a lot of opportunity to do business there. There's Raines with the fresh tires in the 9th position. as they go to the bottom of the hill. No move by Bliss. Pirelli tries to get to the inside and pick up a position on the 14 of Crawford.
Boris now has got my Tony Raines, it looks like.
There's Boris as we take a look from on board Tony Raines' truck. They're 9th and 10th as they move up the hill. Pirelli still working on Crawford. It's a good run for Rick Crawford, who's not known as a terrific road racer. He told me a funny story yesterday. He says Boris said has helped him a lot to learn how to road race in that blue number 14 truck. He said yesterday they did a simulated qualifying run, and it was the best lap he'd ever made. There's Boris, though. Now we've got Morgan back in the pits, and this is unexpected because he did make a pit stop under that last caution flag, so this must be a problem.
That actually may be planned. He didn't stop the first time, so he stopped the second time, got 2 tires. He came back in as soon as he had to complete 1 lap, came back in, got his other tires. Now if the caution comes out, he stays on the racetrack, and a lot of these other guys may pit.
Okay, I'll buy that. That might make sense for Morgan, the road racer who made his name in the open cockpit sports cars and has been a consistent runner in the trucks. Here's an inside move by Said on Barfield, and this is for 8th starting spot and a good opportunity to finish my Crawford story. Boris, with whom you ride there, had helped Crawford all weekend. Crawford ran the best lap that he'd run all weekend, and he went back to Boris and he said, Boris, I appreciate it. There's nothing else you can do for me except one thing. And Boris said, what's that? And Crawford said, let me ride around with you just to see what that other 2 seconds feels like. The difference between those who really do road race and those who simply try. There's Hornaday in the 16, and he is many laps down. Let's check the number. Actually, not as many as you might think. Broken axle, how long does it take to change it? He's 5 laps down. Of course, he benefited from some caution there, but still, that's unless Craig has trouble, we're going to have a new point leader after this is over.
Right now, he's got Randy Tolson, who's 4 laps down, had some earlier troubles.
Troubles for the 41, Terry Fisher. Remember, he spun out earlier. The Sandy, Oregon driver has hit something this time. Left front is damaged, and he is wobbling his way back toward the pit area. Fisher was actually still on the lead lap. He was the last truck on the lead lap at the time of the crash.
What I was saying earlier, Randy Tolson is 1 lap ahead of Ron Hornaday. And here's a good battle for third between Rick Crawford and Jay Sauter.
Look at Crawford going to the front here. He's taking those road racing lessons that Boris gave him and put him to good use here. He won at Homestead earlier this year, his first victory of the season. Did you ever get to finish your Tolson story?
I don't think so. What I was going to say is Ron Hornaday is 5 laps down. Randy Tolson was 1 lap ahead of him. This is the most difficult racetrack to try to get a lap back because we have single file restarts. So Ron Hornaday, no matter how far he gets up here, he's going to have to restart the race right behind the truck that he followed to the line. So he's not going to be able, like you see on a traditional oval, pull up on the inside line and try to restart to get the lap back. If he could get 1 or 2 laps back, that would be incredible. Unfortunately, right now, there's only 1 truck ahead of him that's not on the lead lap.
So what Hornaday needs is for Sprague to have trouble. That's the bottom line. Boris Said marching his way back through the field after the pit stops, up to 7th now. And the next guy he will tackle is a man that we have not talked about enough, I think, and that's the 84 Doug George. This is the Porter Cable truck, which, of course, has had a change of drivers of lately. George is the crew chief and team manager for that operation, but he's an excellent road racer with a lot of experience on this road course, so they put him in the truck for this race. Raines is 10th, and we're following.
That last shot, we saw some debris on the racetrack. It must have been the tire off of Terry Fisher's truck, so that may result in a caution flag, but it's not coming out as of yet.
Road racing is different, of course, in terms of cautions. There are what they call a local yellow and also a full course yellow. Apparently the debris off of we saw it fall off right there. And that ends up laying the racetrack, and they are, in fact, going to have to throw the caution and clean it off. Sometimes they can get out there and grab it and clean it up and not have to throw the full course caution, but the combination of his truck limping around and the debris on the track have brought out the caution. The leader has not yet.
I must have hit something on the back straightaway because all of a sudden it just felt like something broke, and then now it's all right. Must have been a big old chunk of rubber.
That's Mike Bliss we're talking to right there,
the
listening to.
All right, sounds like they have concluded that they're okay. Marty with more on the lead truck of Tom Hubert.
Emery Donaldson just was beside himself. He was so upset. He didn't want that yellow to come out. He's talking to his driver right now on the radio. They were running such a good pace. Remember, guys, he's the only one who hasn't pitted, and he was holding off the entire field. So they were really happy, although it looks like this is going to force their hand. They're going to have to make the stop now. Looks like they're gearing up. We'll keep you posted, which means that would cycle them to the back of the field.
33 of 77 laps complete. Tom Hubert has not pitted yet. Mike Bliss reporting what seemed like a serious problem, but he says that problem has now gone away as we jump briefly on board the Team ASE board at 6:55. It's a pretty remarkable stat. The Bud Pole starter has not won a race in the past 12 events. We talked about all the different race winners we've had. We've had a bunch of different pole sitters this year, and the story is that very few of them have been able to win. Remember back when this series started, Skinner won all the poles and all the races. We're going to see what happens in terms of pit stops on this caution when we come back to Series Point Raceway. 33 complete, 44 to go.
Up the dirt bank. Resendiz has crashed the leader. Oh my gosh. Hubert may have the faster truck. He moves up alongside Roughness to go up the hill. Wow, carousel.
Hold your line.
Side by side.
Good job. Good job. Keep digging.
Hubert going to finish second, Son to third, but Joe Ruffin wins at Sears Point.
Yeah, Joe has a way of being in the right place at the right time, doesn't he? He was here last year when Resendiz crashed. He was again at Watkins Glen this year when Hornaday jumped the restart. But now, today, Ruttman is not having such a great day. Qualified 13th. He's currently 14th. And now we're hearing that the leader will not stop, and I think you called it, Phil. If you're going to make a one-stop race out of it, you better make a one-stop race out of it. You don't want to be half pregnant.
I don't think so. I think, you know, we're far enough away from the end of the race that I don't think he could make it on fuel. So it really would not behoove him to stop and put fuel and tires on the truck right now. If you're going to make a one-stop race, stick to that strategy. Come in about halfway, put some tires on the fuel, and then hope the caution comes out and let you catch up a little bit, and then see what happens.
The bottom line is they've all got to stop one more time. The difference is that the leader, as they go back to green, has not stopped yet. So we're back underway with Hubert out front. Away they go.
I'll tell you, Tom Hubert has impressed me. The fact that he's able to stay ahead of these guys with the same tires that have 35 laps on them. These other guys all have 4 fresh tires.
Bliss stopped a little earlier than everybody else, so his 4 are not quite as fresh as some of the guys chasing him. But apparently the problem he reported before that caution flag is no problem at all. He's certainly keeping the heat on Hubert as they come down the hill. Crawford is 3rd. Sauter's up to 4th in the black 3. Then Boris Said, who's driving a smart heads-up race here today. You saw the little incident with Bickle a year ago that I don't think was temper got the best of him, what it boiled down to. Although he said afterward, I felt like I had to show those guys I couldn't let them push me around because I was new to the series. That was his defense, but it cost him an opportunity to win a race that a lot of people felt could have been all his.
Boris is in a good position right now. You see him making a move on the inside of Jay Sauter to take over, I believe that's 4th position. He's got 4 fresh tires on the two trucks in front of him. Only have 2 fresh tires on, other than Mike Bliss, who had 4 tires several laps before he did.
Hornaday following the Federated Auto Parts truck, but Hornaday is 5 laps down after a broken axle. An update from Birmingham. We understand that Ernie Irvin is awake, alert. All of his vital signs are good. Everything looks good for Ernie Irvin after a bad crash at Talladega. Everybody's been talking about the big one at Talladega. Well, they had one, and Ernie got the worst of it, but it appears that Ernie's okay. That's good news with his history. The big Michigan crash. A lot of reason to be concerned about that.
There's a look out the back of Boris's Federated Auto Parts truck at Ron Hornaday.
And this is a look at the leaders. Hubert holding Bliss at bay. The 2 of them pulling away from Crawford, who is 3rd, but a 2.5 back. I suspect Boris Said may not wait a long time on Rick Crawford. If he can make that pass on the fast, he's still 2 seconds a lap faster than than Crawford. I think he'll probably take advantage of it here. Crawford smokes the right front, then turns in on him, pushes Boris down to the inside. Boris said, remember all those free lessons I gave you? Give me a break here.
Looks like he did. Rick's going to probably ease off a little bit here, let him get in the corner, turn one ahead of him, and follow him single file up the hill.
Compton also has a Boris Said story. You know, Compton won the road race at Topeka, and Boris, he'd been helping Boris all along, so they got out here, and Stacy went down to Boris' trailer and walked in, and Boris said, get out of here. I'm not helping you this weekend. Last time I helped you, you beat me. Go away. You're done. You don't get any more help from me.
Boris is going to have to stop helping these guys if they're going to run this well.
Well, the payback, of course, comes on the short tracks where Boris needs a little advice and goes to the likes of a Crawford or a Compton seeking that advice. Hornaday with a healthy truck now trying to go forward, but perhaps as much a commentary as any other on the difficulty in passing here. This guy who is such an acknowledged road racer is having trouble finding his way through the field. Hubert and Bliss.
We're getting very close to that window now. We're just a couple laps from halfway, so it'll be interesting to see exactly when Tom Hubert is going to stop for his tires and fuel.
Hornaday trying to push his way past Crawford. Crawford now sits alone in fourth spot, as Boris Said has closed up on the leaders. And the next story to unfold here is going to be Boris's attempt to get by, I think. Hornaday completing that pass, and he's 5 laps down, so it's going to be real tough to do it. Though Boris is already around Mike Bliss. Did not waste any time in dispatching Bliss, and so we're back where we started with Boris Said in second spot and Hubert the leader. Biffle is reported badly off the pace. He had run inside the top 10 for much of the early race. He's shown in 23rd now as Boris takes over second position. He started second and now dispatching Bliss just in the last half lap or so. So the next man he'll see is this guy right here.
I think you'll see with Boris with 4 fresh tires. I think it will really put a hurting on Tom Hubert with his original tires that he started the race with.
There's Biffle. Stop. Let's get the word. Marty?
Well, listening to the radio traffic, it sounds like he had some contact out on the race course, and it's another axle problem. They're not sure which side they're going to have to go in on, but it could be very costly for Greg Biffle. By the way, guys, we are stationed in the number 66 Tom Hubert pit. They are getting ready to make that one and only stop.
Here's the pass for the lead. Boris Said on the attack on the outside. Up the hill they go. Hubert reluctant to let the position go, having the preferred line till they get to the top of the hill, and now it's Boris' turn to hit the apex first. This is a good side-by-side race.
It really is. And again, remember, again, we emphasize the fact Tom Hubert has tires with 38, 39 laps on them.
And he used them well in that effort to hold off Boris, but inevitably the fresher rubber wins out, and so now Hubert will fall perhaps into the clutches of Mike Bliss. Oh, you saw a little bit of slipping and sliding behind him there. Hornaday looked like he got in hot trying to get around Bliss.
I wouldn't be surprised now to see Tom Hubert go ahead and hit pit road. I just think it won't be just a matter of a lap or two that he'll hit pit road.
We'll see how the strategy plays out for Tom Hubert, who's running a one-stop race. Boris Said has already stopped a couple of times, actually, to get 2 tires on each stop, those under caution, and now has worked his way to the front. Hornaday will make a move down the inside, and there goes Hubert to pit road. That's why we call him expert analyst. Thank you, Phil. Let's go to Marty.
Well, the radio traffic, when they saw them going side by side, Emery Donaldson got on the radio and said, hey, don't race with him right now. You're coming in this next time around. Let him get the lead. Keep the truck in one piece. And he's coming down pit lane. Now, he is all the way in pit number 1, which is closest to pit out. So we're waiting for him at 35 miles an hour. And this is the one and only stop. He's got to get around Greg Biffle. The crew is in. It will be a 4-tire change. Emery Donaldson on the jack, the crew chief. Right side up. Keep the clock on this one because remember, laps are about 1 minute 14 seconds around here. With the amount of time, they figure they can get him in and out of pit lane well under before going that lap down. And that's why this strategy is what their call was, to go for one stop. Here comes the right side tires. Now, I'm looking at these tires that came off, guys. There is no real severe wear. Tommy Hubert has done an excellent job. These guys are out. 30.
Good stop for Hubert as they go around, put 4 tires on, send him back out, and wait for the caution that they hope will put them back into the lead. 22 is the magic number for Hubert. He is 22nd with 22 trucks on the lead lap. There's an inside move by Jack Sprague. This is fourth position as he tries to work his way around the 75 of Harvick.
It actually should move him up to about 5th position.
Just checking to confirm the scoring. That is indeed 5th spot. Harvick's had a great day here. Won the Winston West race spectacularly on the last lap and is now running top 5 in the truck race.
That's a change for position there. Jay Sauter has got by Rick Crawford for 3rd position.
That has happened within the last lap. Crawford was going forward very effectively, but then seemed to stall out about the time Boris said got around him. Sauter has come to life as the tires come in, and he's now 3rd. Crawford falls to 4th. Sprague is right behind them in 5th position, and looks like he might be a candidate to go by both of them. Harvick then falls to 6th. Compton, George, Raines, and Hensley round out the top 10. We're back at Sears Point. We told you Sprague was on the move. He is indeed. He has moved to 3rd. He put Crawford and Sauter behind him during the commercial break and is now the 3rd place truck. Boris said is your leader. Mike Bliss is in 2nd spot. It looked like a piece of paper blowing around out there. No debris of any consequence. There is the 75 of Harvick in 6th spot behind the black 3 of Sauter, who is 5th. In that exchange, Crawford also got back by Sauter. Position changes all within the top 5. Stacy Compton in the 86 is 7th, and that's important because he's from Virginia, and all the Virginia fans are paying close attention to his progress today. George, Raines, and Hensley round out your top 10. Dodge race recap. The leader is said. He's led 13 of 43. As you see, lead changes between Boris Said and Tom Hubert, your pole sitter. 75 held down by a significant amount of caution today. The caution has affected the strategy significantly, and I'm not sure that we've seen the last of Tom Hubert. I think this thing's kind of working out not bad so far.
I think so too. You know, he's really not in a bad position if the caution comes out or if it doesn't come out. Right now, if the caution comes out, I think all the rest of the field is going to pit, and he'll get the lead. If the caution doesn't come out, that they're all going to have to pit, and he's been out there running on fresher tires. So he's been making, I think, would be making up some time on it.
Lap leaders, Hubert has led the most thus far. He's now in the back, having made the one stop that he intends to make. We saw some smoke back there, and I don't know that it was coming from the number 19. I thought for a moment it might have been, but it looks like Raines is continuing. We're hearing radio traffic that he may be headed for pit road. Tony Raines is in 8th spot in the Pennzoil truck with which we ride at this moment.
That may have been some flat. You know, I thought we saw some smoke from Tony Raines' truck. He may have flat spotted some tires. You see him waving right there at the trucks behind him. He is hitting pit road.
He's going to pit road, so he may have flat spotted the tires, getting hard on the brakes there. And we'll go track side to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, I haven't been able to verify whether he has reported a flat spot, but they have definitely decided that this will be their final stop. They are going to try and do a 4-tire change. Now, he's an 8th, and if you remember, it takes about a full minute and 15 seconds to get around the track. So we're going to keep our eyes open as Boris said. Our race leader continues to make his way around. They're going to go for the right side first. Kurt Rohrig, the team owner, is on the jack. That was a big question mark. The team was teasing him an awful lot, saying, well, can you handle the pressure? Well, we're going to find out. Here he comes around, and he's got the jack underneath. And the guys have got the lugs off, and he's got the wheels up before they were ready, so he did his job here. Right, left side going on. The fuel is in, and now there's a penalty being assessed by NASCAR. Now, I don't know what the penalty's for, and now this could put them a lap down because into turn 11 comes Boris Said. He came in too fast. And speeding violation. He's going to have to hurry now. But remember, it's 35. And here comes Boris. I think he's going to lose a lap here, guys.
Broke the speed limit of 35 on pit road. And here comes the leader as he heads back up the hill. He may just barely stay on the lead, on the tail end of the lead lap here. Tony Raines is sitting duck for Boris Said as Boris works his way in. And look out. Almost nudged him out of the way. And then Boris elects not to make that move. Bliss is back on pit road. Let's go back to Marty.
We're about 4 pits away. We make our quick little jog down, and it looks like these guys are going to make a 4-tire stop as well. This will be their final stop as they'll be able to go the distance on fuel. And all these stops keeps allowing Tommy Hubert to reel in track position. He gets one yellow here, guys. He's right back in the front of this race before this is over. Bliss is out of here. That's a great stop.
46 laps are complete as Bliss a little out of sequence, a little out of sync with the rest of the field. Stopped earlier the first time around, comes in to make his second stop. Said has not yet put Tony Raines a lap down. There's been a lot of talk about Tony Raines' team. Pennzoil apparently is going to be leading that team next year. So here.
All right, let's get our rhythm back and get moving.
Get the rhythm back. That's the key. He's doing a good job holding off for us, said there. The first tire's hell.
You can see that his pit strategy would have worked because he had a 15-second penalty, came out right in front of Boris Said. So had he not had the penalty, then he's going to be at least 15 seconds ahead of Boris.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad strategy, but the 35-mile-an-hour pit speed was the problem for Tony. He didn't get her wowed down enough. You run so far on what is considered pit road just to get there that it's awfully easy to break that pit rule. Sauter is pitting from 9th spot. Marty?
Well, Jay Sauter in, and this will be their final stop, and again, it will be 4 tires. You mentioned earlier he wins at Martinsville, and then he gets his contract renewed, and that's always a nice way to go. One thing we should probably point out, Boris Said has a little bit of pressure on him while he's running up front. His future will be decided on Tuesday. Sauter's out of here.
Sauter responded to the pressure nicely at Martinsville, coming through with the victory and locking down his deal with Childress Racing, which with that victory became one of 2 teams to win in all 4 NASCAR Craftsman Championship seasons. Childress is second to Earnhardt in terms of all-time wins. We'll take a break and be back. We're back at Sears Point. 49 of 77 laps are now completed. There is your leader, Boris Said, as he continues to work his way around, driving a very smart and consistent race here today. There's Tony Raines, who had made that pit stop just before the commercial break, and now with the fresh tires is succeeding in holding off the leader and stay on the same lap. Here's Mike Bliss.
Clear.
Getting the word from his spotter, clear. He is currently 12th. We talked about that good pit stop. It's really paid off for him here, Phil.
It really has. Tom Hubert will now be the next truck behind him. Tom Hubert ran several laps with fresher tires, but Mike Bliss's pit stop was so good by Barry Dodson-led team that he was able to get back on the racetrack ahead of Tom Hubert. That's Tom Hubert in the red front end truck behind Mike Bliss.
The field working their way up. There is the Hubert running in. I'm looking for him here. He is 13th, and the truck between them is Mylan Garrett, who has quietly worked his way into that position of 12th spot. Mylan from nearby Fresno, California. Boris had a little trouble getting the 84 truck behind him, putting him a further lap down. Doug George finally succumbs to the charge of the leader. Ruttman is on pit road, having had a so-so day. Joe currently being shown in 7th spot. Marty?
Yeah, Joe, who has done very well on the road courses over the years, said that strategy with his pit crew would be critical in helping them pick up some track position. Now, as we watch the team go to work here with the final stop, right side rubber going on, and I'm looking out on the racetrack. Mike Bliss has just gone by, and that'll mean that Hubert will go by. So he is going to have a lot of track position to catch up on. These guys having a little hard time getting the jack up. Now he's got the left side going on. Fuel is done. He's out of here.
Have a report that the 14 of Crawford has gone behind the wall. So that ended a good run for Rick. He was in the top 3. Rick Pirelli currently running in the 5th spot, working on Kevin Harvick, and that's a pretty good race for position. Pirelli is behind them. He is also in that battle, so that's 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there.
Jimmy Hensley in the Cummins Dodge. Jimmy's been real quiet, but moved steadily towards the front. Here's Jack Sprague in the pits. Marty's down there.
Well, at least the good news is, guys, they're breaking these pit stops up, giving us a little time to catch up with each other. Now, Sprague is going for left side only, so this could be a little bit interesting. Oh, we've got a crew member underneath, going underneath the chassis, and I'm trying to see exactly what adjustment it looks like. It looks like it could be shift linkage. He's got a hammer and a wrench up underneath there. This is going to take a lot longer. This is really going to hurt Jack Sprague, guys.
This is the thing that we talked about earlier when Ron Hornaday had trouble. This is the thing that Jack Sprague wanted to try to guard against. Probably what happened here is the thing. A lot of times shifting these things, you'll get them hung in 2 gears, and they won't, and the truck won't move, or it'll be stuck in actually a gear, but it's actually the shifter is in between 2 gears. So they may be trying to get that shifter out of being stuck into 1 gear or another.
They need to fix it in a hurry and get him back out there. Hornaday is 6 laps behind in 24th spot. There's some smoke out there, and I'm not sure where that came from. Riding on board the Pennzoil machine of Tony Raines. Back toward the tail end of the field, but in 16th spot. This is an ongoing battle between Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Hensley, and with Sprague going to pit road, that is now the battle for 2nd spot. Pirelli sits in 4th, but he's close behind, as you can see. There are the 3 of them headed up the hill.
I saw a puff of smoke out of Jimmy Hensley's truck as he exited turn 11 there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. If he's having any trouble or not.
Excitement in the races for position, and tremendous excitement in the battle for the championship, with the problems for Hornaday and now for Sprague. Hornaday is back in the garage area and showing lots and lots of smoke. We noted that he had dropped a further lap. He was 5 laps down, was actually running at the pace of the leaders, but now Hornaday has an additional problem and has gone back to the garage area.
We got Jack Sprague back on pit road for a penalty. Marty Reed's down there. Marty?
Yeah, NASCAR said that Sprague's speed was too excessive on pit road, stop and go, so a little bit more. And now they're reminding him on the radio, slow down, buddy.
So, Marty, this was that penalty infraction occurred as he was leaving the pits on the previous stop. Is that right?
Correct.
Were they able to get the truck fixed? That's the key.
So far, he's made no complaint on the radio. Dennis Connor's a little upset right now. I'll see if I can stick my head in there and get an answer on the definitive on the linkage situation.
Dennis Connor is the crew chief. Said, Harvick, Hensley, Pirelli, and Mike Wallace. Now your top 5. We're going to take a commercial break and come back with 53 into 77 laps here. We're back at Sears Point. The leader is on pit road, leading by nearly 30 seconds, but needing a pit stop. Boris Said brings the Federated Auto Parts number 44 down to the attention of the crew. He'll find out Tuesday whether he keeps his job. A lot of it could ride on this stop right here. Marty?
Boy, guys, you talk about pressure on a crew. This is it. We'll keep the clock running, and I'll keep my eye over my shoulder to see what happens as far as guys like Bliss and Hubert. They seem to be the 2 trucks that have the most for the 44. Little tangle there between the gas can and the hose getting around for the jack on the air hose on the right rear, but that's okay. Looks like Jimmy Hensley is also going to be coming into the pits. Right now, he's topped off. He's out of here.
Decent stop for Boris Said, and he should be in pretty good shape here as Boris exits pit road. And, oh, now we've got the 66 off the course and into the tire wall. Hubert has crashed. He was racing with Mike Bliss for 6th and 7th position, and Hubert has crashed the truck. Wow.
Caution flag is out.
Just after Boris completed his pit stop, the caution flag flies. Hensley was actually on pit road at the time the caution came out. And here is Boris Said, having completed his final service and returning to the racetrack.
We're showing Rick Pirelli as the leader right now. And we're showing Boris Said all the way back up to second position.
Second place. He had a huge lead at the time of the stop, and there is a huge disappointment for the Carlin Burners team and their driver, Tom Hubert. Second place here a year ago, had actually gone back to the tail once or maybe twice and raced his way back through, but this time looks like it's all for naught. Pirelli not stopping, but I'm not sure he could. I think the pit road is still closed.
Probably is. Rick Corelli is one of the trucks that has stayed out, had not made a green flag pit stop. So I'm sure when pit road opens, he will be making a pit stop.
And he would, I believe, be the last. Well, let's see. Wallace and Setzer still probably need a pit stop, don't they? Here's the replay. Missed the turn.
It looks like he might have had a brake problem or something like that. He went in the corner awfully hot. And just went straight.
Yeah, it didn't look like she was blowing much when he. Yeah, that's a pretty tight corner at the end of a very fast section of racetrack, so you need the brakes when you get there. I'm sure he'll be able to tell us here in a moment. He has vacated the truck, and after a bit of a frustrating weekend, it comes to a bad end for today's pole sitter. We always expect a lot of excitement when the big trucks go road racing. We've had our share of it here today. Corelli is the leader, but in need of a pit stop. We'll take a break and come back with more. Kragen Exide 151 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series round 24. This has been a turning point in the battle for the championship. Traditionally, through the 4 previous years we've come here, Hornaday over Sprague by the closest margin in series history this late in the campaign. As we came into this event, a lot of potential here, as you can see, for things to get changed rather dramatically. We'll be back to find out what happens next after this.
Hello, welcome to Dodge Durango 101. Today, I'll be covering the 5.2 and 5.9 liter Magnum V8 vis-a-vis Durango's superiority in the class structure of domestic compact sport utility vehicles. You're not listening. You're just staring at the Durango, aren't you? Aren't you? Why do I even bother? I don't know. I'm just standing up here like a big doofus.
Towser, I'd like to get my hands on her.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to put her in drive.
Say hello to the Blank Road Dream. Coming to a track near you. Thanks and enjoy.
A great tradition is reborn on ESPN2. Friday Night Fights, showcasing today's best boxing along with classic bouts of the past. This week, Johnson takes on Cardona, plus Part 3 of the Muhammad Ali retrospective. Friday Night Fights, tomorrow at 8 on ESPN2.
Fighting Olsen.
You're right. Fighting Olsen? Well, in '83, we adopted Merlin Olsen as our mascot.
But then, we got sued.
By Merlin Olsen.
NFL Countdown, Sundays at 11, Mondays at 6:30 on ESPN.
We're inside 20 to go, under caution at Sears Point Raceway with Boris Said the leader. There have been a multitude of stories here today. This is one of them. Our most recent caution brought out when the pole sitter crashed. Tom Hubert is done for today. In terms of the championship battle, Ron Hornaday had trouble with a broken axle early, fixed it, got back out 5 laps down. Now the rear end has expired, and they're still working on it, but he's not going to complete very many laps here. As a result, Sprague would move into the point lead by a single point if the race ended now. Sprague is only in 16th place. He had a problem of his own. He came on pit road when the truck hung between 2 gears, a linkage problem. In the course of fixing that, he was assessed a penalty for speeding on the exit from that pit stop. And as a result, he is the last truck on the lead lap in 16th position, and that translates into a point difference of 1 point. But there is potential for that to increase because Hornaday is stopped and Sprague is not. His truck is healthy, and he can go forward from here.
The bright spot for Jack Sprague, he was actually a lap down until Boris Said made his scheduled green flag pit stop. When Boris stopped, that allowed Jack Sprague to get back on the lead lap. So Jack's got a pretty good truck. He's a lot better than a lot of the trucks in front of him. So I look for him to move up from his 16th place right now, probably well up into the top 10, if not the top 5 by the end of the race.
So Sprague still has 19 laps with which to work, a healthy truck, and fuel and tires he needs to go to the end. Boris Said, as we have documented, has been the dominant driver in the race, and now with Hubert out with the crash, I think there's nobody who can challenge Boris, I don't think, on the racetrack. But there is one other interesting element here, and that is the fact that Setzer has not stopped and Houston has not stopped, and they're 2nd and 4th. And the obvious question would be, why didn't they stop under this caution? If they intend to stop, is there any potential explanation for that?
Well, I'm not sure, unless they plan on stopping under the green, as we talked about earlier, stopping under the green and then hope for another caution to get caught back up. That way they can get 4 tires versus 2.
We've seen a lot of caution thus far, and now we're going back to green. They'll restart with 17 to go, and they head up the hill. The Boris on the point.
Got a lap truck of Scott Walters in between Boris and the place truck of Dennis Setzer.
Scott Walters 17th in the running order. 16 trucks are on the lead lap, and so he's spoiling Setzer's opportunity to get on television here, if in fact that was the Keselowski team strategy. Keselowski, the driver of that number 29 truck, stepping aside here because of some back trouble to let Setzer step in. Setzer will be a Dodge driver. In fact, Dodge is going to have quite an impressive effort next year if the pit rumors and gossip are to be believed. Widely believed in the pit area that Stacy Compton will switch to a Dodge next year, and that Randy Tolsma will be his teammate. But that has not been announced officially. Dodge is going to make a big truck announcement at the SEMA show in conjunction with the racing at Las Vegas.
There you see Mike Bliss behind Dennis Setzer, going to try to make a move for second position.
That ought to be easy, too. Fresher tires and all that, and Bliss will go by to take over second spot, and Houston is behind him. And I'm not sure it's as clear as it looks there, because Houston, depending on whose spotter that was, Houston got stuck on the outside, and that's going to be an opportunity for Raines.
Tony Raines is somebody now that we know has pretty good tires.
Raines should be able to take care of Houston without too much difficulty. I thought I saw some dust back there. Did everybody stay on the road? Report is that number 86, Stacy Compton, may have put the wheels in the dirt, but apparently without harm. Compton is 7th. Raines is coming through the traffic.
Dennis Setzer has had a lot of help this week from Tommy Archer, a longtime Dodge factory driver. Tommy actually drove the truck some, talked to Dennis and coached him around, and Dennis is doing a pretty good job today.
He's hanging on despite those worn-out tires. Hensley and another Dodge will be the next man in line. Archer made a great joke yesterday. He was standing there with Keselowski and the driver Setzer and said, well, we spent most of the weekend trying to figure out which stooge each of us is. A Three Stooges joke. And actually, they've done a terrific job here. Got that truck in 3rd place, although there is reason to wonder, or 4th place, I believe now, there is reason to wonder if they're not going to have to make another stop.
Tommy said he was going to kidnap Dennis and lock him in the hotel room so he could drive the truck. He didn't mind. He liked practicing, but he wanted to drive it more.
Archer's a great road racer in a lot of different kinds of cars over the years, and trucks too, for that matter. Laps winding down now. 61 of 77 are complete. There's the 29 of Setzer.
You know, we got a view of the 90 truck of Lance Nork. We haven't spoken about him today, but he's had a good steady run. He's up in 8th position, well into the top 10.
Yeah, that's the best he's run in a long time. Lance Nork deserving that call. Here's Ruttman, who has the 99. Where is Ruttman? He's in 5th spot. So
you've talked about him all day, having an off weekend, Dave. Look at him. He's in the top 5.
Matters. Get it right when it matters most, which is the end of the race, and Ruttman seems to have accomplished that after starting badly and staying back there for much of the early going. He started one charge, and then it was thwarted, but now he seems to have gathered things up and gotten the truck the best at the end, and he's inside the top 5. There's Dennis Setzer, and now you ride with him. Hornaday has returned to the racetrack now, 15 laps down. They replaced the rear end gear. Key for him is just to accumulate as many laps and points as possible. Norrick will go the outside route around the 29 and complete the pass before they start up the hill. Here comes Compton. The RC number 86 behind them. Stacy sitting in 9th position with an opportunity to pick off Setzer. Dennis is going backward pretty fast here. Look at Sprague.
He really hasn't made as major a move as I thought he would. He's only up to 14th. I think he restarted the race at 16th, so he's only been able to get by a couple trucks, but he still has some 15 laps to go.
And we've talked about the fact that the passing opportunities are a little limited here with the changes in the racetrack. Still a lot of talk about what the final configuration may be for Sears Point Raceway. Now that Bruton Smith and Company own it, there's a lot of talk about what the potential might hold for this place. A grandstand-style approach to a road course, which is a little different, but Bruton does things a little differently, doesn't he? Look at Bristol, 125,000 seats for a short track Yahoo. Position battles back through the field. They're pushed the number 84 out of the way. Doug George has had a good run today, but he got stuck on the outside, and that'll probably nudge him outside the top 10.
We've got some real good racing back here that we're looking at. While we're doing this, Boris Said has opened up almost a 5.5 second lead over Mike Bliss in second.
Sed's had the best truck all weekend. I think that the qualifying phenomenon may have just been that. Hubert uncorked a great lap and deserved the pole, but it was more a mistake on the part of Boris in turn 11 than the excellence of the Hubert effort, I think, that resulted in that. Oh, we got trouble here. Got a couple of them. Mike Wallace's 52 has hit hard, and I'm not sure.
Is that Terry Fisher's truck, the 41 truck? It's hard to tell.
Folks sitting at home watching those 66-inch screens can probably tell better than we can. I think you're right, but we'll double check it. We'll go ahead and take the commercial break, sort it out, as the drivers are obviously okay. We'll be back with more from Sears Point after the timeout. The Kragen Exide 151 is round 24 of 27 to decide the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship. And in the interest of time, we're going to move forward now in our coverage of the race. Under caution for the biggest wreck of the day thus far. Everybody okay as Terry Fisher and Mike Wallace got together. Boris Said has dominated this event on a day when he needed to do exactly that. The remains of Mike Wallace's truck being hauled back into pit road, and he clobbered the 41 of Fisher pretty well when Terry came back across the racetrack in front of him. Here's the moment of impact.
There's another view of Terry Fisher getting off the racetrack, spun across the back across the racetrack, and Mike Wallace having nowhere to go, just kind of pile driving.
At the time of the incident, Fisher was a lap down, and I'm not sure.
Looks like that the way Terry Fisher is gesturing that maybe there was some contact prior to Terry Fisher getting off the racetrack, and then he came back across the racetrack.
And in the aftermath of that, as we take a look at your running order, Wallace was saying, "Get away, leave me alone here." The point being that Wallace was on the lead lap and Fisher was not. So those kinds of disagreements are not uncommon in that kind of a circumstance. In any case, they're both out of the event. And you can see the rundown here of those who are still in it. Anybody race with Boris Said? I mean, they'll be all bunched up after the caution. Those guys got a shot at him?
Well, it's hard to say. I really don't think so, but Mike Bliss had a couple lap trucks to get by before he got out in the open. Boris had opened up a 5.5 second lead, but I'm not sure how much of that was because Mike Bliss was stuck behind the lap truck. So
let's find out more about Bliss's situation from Marty.
Well, guys, I asked Barry Dotson, the crew chief for the ASC Ultra Wheels Ford. He said, well, with a big smile on his face, we're going to take it easy on Boris because we know they had a tough day over at Talladega. We send our best to Ernie. We think we're going to have to let him go. And I said, well, what about Tony? Are you worried about him? He says, heck, with the luck we've had, I'm worried about anybody in the top 10. By the way, we should point out that Barry did make the announcement. He's going to be moving to a Busch team next year with Lyndon Amick and Hank Parker Jr. So now the team here, which has all of its sponsors back, ASC, Ultra Wheels, everybody back, except for the crew chief and the driver. And by Phoenix, owner Jimmy Smith says should have an update on that situation.
Well, they're going to come back and try to win that championship. Jimmy Smith has never won it as an owner. He's been in the series from the get-go. I understand that Smith was out doing that road racing thing again. I mean, the off-road racing thing again recently. He rode with Was it Troy Herbst? And he's going to do the Baja 1000, Marty. Is that true? Is he going to drive part of the Baja thing this year?
Yeah, the fun part of this story was he did the Reno to Las Vegas race with Troy Herbst, and Troy broke the truck early, and he got in the truck. He says, let's see, you're going to put me on a race in a vehicle I've never driven in the middle of the night on a track that I've never seen. This should be fun. They ended up finishing 4th, and yes, he is going to run the Baja 1000.
This is a year that they take the trucks all the way down the length of the peninsula, and that's special for Jimmy. That's historic, and so he's going to drive part of that. That, of course, is from whence he came to NASCAR truck racing. We'll take a break and be back. We're back. 10 laps remain and 1 lap until we go back to green. It takes about 3 minutes under caution to run a lap here at Sears Point, the nearly 2-mile, 10-turn course in the Sonoma Valley of California, the wine-growing region to which we allude when we come here for the Winston Cup racing. And today, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series having a pretty good go here, looking for their 10th different winner in as many races, and another first-time winner in the series, potentially. If you look back to Homestead, that's where Rick Crawford, the all-pro veteran, got his first truck victory. Roland Wolotica and the crew very happy about that performance. On to Portland. Stacy Compton, the Virginia short tracker, had to go halfway across the world to win one, but held off Randy Tolsma to become the second new winner of the year. Then the battle of the rookies. Greg Biffle and Andy Houston beating on each other. Houston ended up winning the race, this at Loudon. Then Terry Cook emerges as a truck racing star as he kind of bowled his way past Stacy Compton at Flemington, New Jersey, and became a first-time winner on the tour. And finally, the veteran of so many short tracks, Hensley, beats Raines back to the line at Nashville and gives the king, Richard Petty, his first victory as a truck owner. Congratulations to Gentleman Jimmy. Will Boris Said join that elite company here today? I think there's a pretty good chance of that because that has been the dominant vehicle throughout the weekend, and Boris has not succumbed to the temptation to get overly aggressive, to go out there and mix it up with guys. He's driven a smart race.
He really has. I've been very impressed. Although I've been impressed with Boris's road racing skill every time I've seen him run. He came up to Watkins Glen this year for the Busch race, sat on the pole in Jimmy Spencer's car, and had a little problem, but was awfully quick. Him and Ron Fellows both.
He's a very, very talented road racer, and Ron Fellows is not here because he drove that Petit Le Mans road race event at Road Atlanta this weekend. There is Jimmy Hensley. You want to sing happy birthday, or you want me to, or should we do Jimmy a favor and just pass?
Well, or Marty. Maybe Marty can sing. No, I'm not sure you and I can sing.
A 53 today for Jimmy, who's been doing this a long time. Had a pretty good qualifying run going yesterday and then slapped the tire wall down at the end of the racetrack in turn 11, but has now patiently worked his way into the top 5 as we prepare for the restart here. Said, Bliss, Raines, Ruttman, and Hensley are your top 5 as they work their way down. And we're finishing the cleanup here with the number 41 of Terry Fisher being moved out of the way after the tangle with Mike Wallace that brought out this extended caution late in the race. 39 to go when we crank them back up. Get this thing started. We mentioned the Tolsma issue and the potential that he might join Compton as a Dodge driver. The other guy expected to be in a Dodge next year is Randy Renfro. That'll give them 5 top flight trucks in the series if those rumors pan out. And we'll find out at the SEMA show. And we'll find out now if anybody can race with Boris. We're ready to put the green back in the air. We're underway.
All clear, all clear.
Raines trying to make a quick move on Bliss. For second and third, you're on board the Pennzoil Ford.
Tony actually got outside Mike on the restart, jumped outside him, and Mike was able to beat him down in turn 1.
Bliss said yesterday, we're sneaking up on it. Didn't qualify all that well. Started 11th. He's got company, as the spotter indicates.
You hear Eddie Thrapp up there on top of the mountain telling him he's all clear. Go after Boris.
From 11th to 2nd for Mike Bliss. Came out of the midget open wheel ranks. United States Auto Club. They don't do much road racing, but he's picked up the knack pretty effectively. He's got Raines at bay. Ruttman is the other real road racer in the mix here. He's sitting in 4th spot. He is the defending champion of this race. Last year went on a tear. Won 3 of the last 5 races to put some pressure on for the championship. That opportunity to win it fell apart right here.
Got got an inside move. We got Stacy Compton, looks like looking inside of Dennis Setzer.
Setzer's kind of a sitting duck. Remember, they made only one stop, so he's on pretty worn-out tires, and he, in fact, will give up that position. Well, he hasn't given it up yet, though. Compton staying right after him. Youngsters battling there as Houston and Norick have at it for 6th and 7th spot. Sauter will take a crack at Doug George, who has stayed in the top 10 effectively all day. And here comes Sprague on the 24, trying to race his way into the top 10. And every position he picks up is important in terms of the championship. Hornaday is now 15 laps behind. Mike Wallace out of the race after that crash. Marty's caught it.
Yeah, guys, and I'm very unhappy. And I get this feeling you got one heck of a headache.
He hit off the hard, unfortunately. The truck in front of us, the 41 truck. It looks like he cut a right front tire down as it come out of 7, and it looked like he was just going to go to the left and get in the grass. And so I just tried to get on by him, and at that time he hit the wall and come straight across the racetrack and just T-boned him under full acceleration. And you know, it hurts pretty bad. A little disappointing. I mean, terribly disappointing for the team because we weren't running that good. We were struggling all day, but looks like we would have got a decent finish out of the deal. And it's more disappointing how long it took the safety workers to get to both of us up there. I mean, it took forever, and we both hit hard. But Carl and the kids, I'm fine, and unfortunate.
3 races to go. Still got a shot.
Bliss and Raines continue to have a battle, and you're watching it out the back of Bliss's team, ASE Ford, the Jimmy Smith-owned entry that's slipping and sliding around a little bit there. Raines doesn't seem to be able to do a whole lot with him, and Ruttman has not been able to close up on Raines. Here's the best position fight. Houston, Norick, and Compton are having at it for 6, 7, and 8. Sauter is on the end of that for 9. And I think we're getting a glimpse of Sprague here periodically as well. This is riding with Compton. Looking at Lance Norrick's truck. How about Lance? He hadn't had much of a season, but he's having a great run here today.
A lot of points right there we're seeing in our screen from Andy Houston back to Jack Sprague. There's a lot of points to be gained by Sprague.
You bet Sprague can add them up real quickly. What you can't do here is go swooping by all 4 of those guys. There is just no place to make that kind of a move, and Sprague's got to be real careful here not to lose what he's got. He's down on the inside as he tries to break into the corner ahead of Sauter.
Broad slides off the corner there, gets up beside Jay Sauter. A little contact there.
You can lose spots a lot quicker than you can gain them at a place like Sears Point. Right out to the edge of the road, and after all that effort, Sprague ends up right back where he was, behind Jay Sauter.
You know, early in the race, we saw several guys back off there and let people go, but not now. That we get down to it.
Well, and not Sauter, because he's in the middle of a championship position fight too. He's trying to close in on Ruttman. He picked up 4th in the standings after Martinsville and needs to keep Tony Raines behind him. Raines is ahead of him on the racetrack, so Sauter certainly can't afford to be giving up any positions. Raines is 3rd in the race and 5th in the points.
Here we have Dennis Setzer and Tony Roper racing back for looks like about 12th position.
Roper hasn't had a call today and deserves it to get that close to the top 10. Another young guy who's got to learn a lot about the road racing business, although his car owner Tom Gloy knows all about road racing, was attracted to these trucks by the economics of NASCAR and a way to get involved in NASCAR racing.
Got a move by Jay Sauter on the inside of Stacy Compton. Jack Sprague looking to pounce on whoever doesn't come out of that thing with the lead.
Well, I don't know. You don't see 3 wide very often. We saw it for a moment right there as they settle back into position. We'll go back and check again on Roper's progress. Setzer hanging on nicely here with 5 laps to go. At least in terms of this battle with Roper. He was 2nd. He's all the way back to 13th now. But remember, that was a one-stop strategy, so it's not surprising to run on old tires. I'm impressed with Houston. What's he know about road racing? I doubt if Tommy could tell him a whole lot about the turn right, turn left business. But
no, very little. I think if this was the first year I think Andy had ever done any road course racing. I talked to Rick Wren earlier. He said at Watkins Glen we weren't very good. Topeka we were fair, and here we're actually doing better. And here he is running in looks like what, 6th position.
Fast learner, Andy Houston, 6th in the running order. Is that not Hornaday back at the tail end of this bunch? Ron Hornaday is 15 laps down, victim of first a broken axle and then a damaged rear end. Yeah, there's the 16 Napa truck. So this is a disastrous day for Hornaday, but he's still racing real hard.
That's pretty much where Ron's going to finish in 25th position. That's pretty much where I don't think he can gain any more positions. The truck ahead of him is 3 laps ahead of him, and there's only 2 laps to go in the race. So
2 trucks ahead of him is Jack Sprague, his nemesis in the championship battle. Jack will retake the point lead here today. There is Sprague in the middle of that pack. Oh, and Compton spins right in front of Sprague. Stacy Compton turned, and Sprague, well, he didn't have to take a big evasive action to miss him, but I'll tell you what, if Sprague had been 3 feet further out in the racetrack, Sprague would have been right in the side of him. And that ends a great run for Compton, as he was 8th at the time of the incident. Well, that's how you learn.
I know Sprague's heart skipped a beat anyway.
Stacy benefited from others' bad fortune in the race at
Topeka,
Heartland Park. When they had a big crash, he was able to hang on and win the race. Today it works out. What goes around comes around, I guess is what they say. There's another look at it.
Is there some contact on these? It looks like there was some contact from Jay Sauter. So Jay Sauter tried to get on the inside of him, wasn't quite up to his door, and made a little contact, and around Stacy went.
Sprague was there trying to get Sauter out of the way.
This is too bad for Stacy Compton. Did a good job, stayed on the racetrack all day, and was headed for a good top 10 finish.
That team's just done a great job. They have really matured over a couple of years of truck racing. Got their first victory this year. Now preparing to become a 2-truck team next year. We haven't talked about Boris Said for a while, and there's a reason. He's 4.5 seconds ahead of Mike Bliss. He's just driven away from this field, finally getting the opportunity to demonstrate the road racing experience and road racing skill. He's been a player, a factor in every truck race he's run. This will be his 6th. There are 3 a year. He ran 3 last year, couldn't win 1. He's won 2 this year, run 2 this year, and couldn't win either of those. But today, he is clobbering him. Bliss in the 2 is 2nd, looking out the back at Raines, who is 3rd.
Pretty good race here for 2nd and 3rd between Mike Bliss and Tony Raines. We got a couple lap trucks in front of them. We'll see how they can negotiate them.
Ruttman in 4th, trying to reel him in. The great Ruttman story, of course, is his reputation as a West Coast road racer. Buddy Baker, team owner, coming out to the West Coast, says, I got to hire Ruttman. Lines him up to run right here at Sears Point. They go to breakfast and consummate the deal. Walk out into the parking lot, and Buddy says, okay, which way do we go? And Ruttman says, Buddy, I hate to disappoint you, but I don't know. I've never been here. I thought you were a big West Coast road racer. Well, I've raced Riverside a few times. Ruttman having a good run here today. There's Hensley.
Great run for Jimmy Hensley in 5th. Talked to Fred Wanke here. They actually had run a whole lot faster in practice. As you said earlier, he kind of butchered turn 11 down there, but Jimmy's a good racer. He's been out here a few times, was out here in the Winston Cup car, I think, and has had a good steady day and up in the top 5.
26 to 5th. That's an impressive run at Sears Point. Just a couple of laps to go here. 75 are complete as the laps wind down. Raines continuing to pressure Bliss. That's a good battle between a couple of the rising stars of truck racing. Conflicting reports about the situation for Tony Raines for next year. One is that he and the team are all dialed in, but the sponsor will be leaving. But then there are some reports that other people would like to hire Tony. So we're not going to be premature or speculate on what might happen there. We do know he's a great driver, and we do know that's a great team. Said has the indication 1 lap to go as he stretches that lead out to 5 3/4 seconds over Mike Bliss. He's road raced about everything imaginable. Had a very successful stint with the BMW team, one of their touring cars. Drove for Jack Roush for a while in Trans Am. When Ernie Irvin went looking for a new truck racer 2 years ago, he said, let's give Boris a try. Boris, of course, connected with No Fear. Interesting mix of people in that team. They've dominated here today. It's finally going to pay off for them. The Sauter-Norick battle continuing here.
7th and 8th positions. Great run for Lance Norick. Even if Jay Sauter even gets by him, it's still a great run
for him to finish top 10 today is very impressive indeed. Lance Norick came from 28th starting spot with a combination of smart driving and good pit work. Down for the final time into the heartbreaking section of the racetrack, Boris Said makes the turn and heads for home. The checkered flag awaits. It is over, and Boris has won it, and the battle will be for second spot. Bliss, I believe, is going to be able to hold off Reigns. We'll take a look. Yeah, Tony couldn't get close to him. A couple of 3 truck lengths the difference there.
How about you guys?
Big day for Boris. 9 different winners in a row coming into this event. He becomes the 10th. That is the record. It is his 54th truck start, and perhaps most impressively of all, he is the 13th different winner this year in the truck series. That is remarkable. Boris Said has dominated it here at Sears Point. The final interval shown at 6.5 seconds. We'll hear from him when we come back. We'll have the time to hear from some of the other drivers. Stay with us. Race is over. Boris Said has won it and made his way to victory lane in his 54th NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series start. Well, let's go to Marty in Victory Circle.
Well, they're backing the truck up already. Oh, Boris overshot victory lane. The only thing he overshot today. Climb out of here, guy. There's a bunch of people who want to congratulate you, and we want to talk to you. So he hands the helmet out. Here, let me take that. I can hold that while you get out. And here he comes, your winner. Team congratulating him, Lee Morse. Here, can you take this for me? I need to talk to you. Congratulations, guy. Nice run. You had him covered.
Yeah, finally. I mean, I don't know how much time you got for the interview, but I mean, Federated Auto Parts has been sticking with me all year long with 1-800 Collect, and we've been struggling. You know, these guys have given me a great truck, and it's not easy to win one of these with guys like Hornaday and Ruttman and Sprague out there. And you know, I've just been trying all year long. It's the biggest win of my life. And I just want to thank all the people at Federated, Rusty Bishop, Art Fisher, I mean, from all their installers to Arthur in Kentucky, I mean, good friend of mine. And you know, I just want to thank them for all their support. Hopefully all these fans will keep supporting Federated Auto Parts. And you know, it was a tough deal today right before the race, seeing my best friend Ernie crash like that at Talladega. And you know, I was just, you know, thinking about him a lot. Ernie didn't have your cell phone with you. I couldn't get a hold of you. But, you know, I'm glad he's all right. And, you know, I just want to thank all my friends at No Fear, Spy, 1-800 Collect. And, you know, all race long we were worried about the tires. And, you know, these Goodyear tires held up great, so it's pretty neat.
You mentioned Ernie. You also told me earlier that your future for next year's decided next Tuesday. That's a lot of pressure to carry in that cockpit.
Yeah, I mean, no more than, you know, ever. I mean, I want to win every race I can. But, yeah, Ernie and Mark are going up to Federated on Tuesday. So, you know, hopefully all these fans will support Federated so they can support me. You know, I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's so many people in my career that I'd like to thank that, you know, I can't name them all. It's impossible. But, you know, it's a dream come true. I started racing 11 years ago, and I never would have thought I got an opportunity like this. And, you know, today we did awesome pit stops. Our guys are great. And, you know, it feels really good when everything clicks.
Well, you cap off a good weekend because Mark Simo, your friend, crashes the Petit Le Mans. Ernie crashes earlier today at Talladega, and you bring home victory number 1.
Yeah, I mean, both team owners wrecked out this weekend, so somebody had to carry the flag for him and Simo. But, I mean, that's nothing to joke about. But I think they're all right. And, you know, Ernie, if you're watching, finally. Ernie always tells me even a blind hog can find an acorn now and then.
And he's looking forward to that Tuesday meeting now, guys.
Well, we certainly congratulate Ernie not only as a car owner, but also our good wishes go out to him on the good news that we've been getting in the wake of that big crash at Talladega. It was very frightening for the guy who owns this truck today, but all indications are that he's doing real well, all things considered. Here's how it worked out. Boris Ed from the outside pole has won the thing over Mike Bliss, who came through a lot of traffic from 11th to 2nd. Raines held on to what he had, but went to the back and came back to the front to finish 3rd. Ruttman was your 4th place finisher from 13th. Hensley from 26th to 5th. Houston from 20th to 6th. Norick from 28th to 7th. Those are some pretty impressive runs, helped by good driving and good pit strategy. Sauter Sprague rounding out your top 10 there. And Sprague, of course, the key for him is the championship, because as you look further back in the results, we'll note that Ron Hornaday finished 23rd, 15 laps down as a result of a broken axle and subsequent broken rear end. They had to make 2 extended trips to the garage area, and as a result, Sprague will take over the championship point lead. Tough breaks for the guys in the back, but that's the racing business. We're going to take a commercial break and talk more about what's happened here today at Sears Point Raceway.
Deposed, but only temporarily, because he had a smile on his face when I told him it was an 18-point difference, Ron Hornaday.
Well, that's hats off to my crew. You know, we had a problem with breaking an axle, and that happens in racing, but for them to come back and the pump got locked up and burn the rear end up, and them guys to keep working hard, that's an awesome team, and they kept coming back. I'll tell you, you know, it's the Napa Chevrolet ran good all day, but it's just a matter of we couldn't show it. We lost the pump in the rear end, and it could have burned the trans and the rear end up, so we were just babying it, and that's what we need to do for this points race.
This track bit you last year, but we're going to some tracks that you like. I mean, Phoenix, and then on to Las Vegas at the end when we'll be having our cameras there again for the finale.
Well, the bad part about this track is we talked about changing the axles before the race, and we talked about it with a brand new rear end, but you know, it's pretty hard on it in practice and hitting the bumps side to side. When you break that axle, it happens. But yeah, we're going to some good racetracks. Mesa Marin's a good track, and they repaved it and resealed it, so everybody's got a new deal going there. And Phoenix, we won there last time, but Jack's tough there, so we're just going to have to run tough.
Well, thanks to you and Jack Sprague and your teams, this is the best points race going in NASCAR competition this year, and we're going to be there to cover it, guys.
Closest point battle in the history of the series will be decided at the Sam's Town 250. That's coming up November the 8th, and you'll see it on ESPN. Quick final thought from Phil Parsons.
A couple things. We talked earlier how dangerous a race this could be. Ron Hornaday lost the point lead. Another thing, Boris said, you know, at the beginning of the year, he highlights these road course races on his schedule, and by Jove, he got one today.
A special thought for Ernie Irvin, the owner of that truck today. Congratulations to Boris Said on the great job that he did in driving it. If there was a great day to win one for Ernie, this was it. Ernie, we're glad you're doing okay. Drag racing is coming up next on ESPN2. We thank Phil Parsons for being alongside today as brother Benny was off at Talladega. Thanks to Marty Reed, I'm Dave Despain. We'll see you next time.